Hey guys, have you ever wondered why, despite all your plans, your promises to yourself, and the endless motivation you consume, you still fall back into the same cycle of hesitation, procrastination, or self-doubt? You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're fighting a battle most people don't even realize exists: the war inside the mind. Your struggles don't come from a lack of ambition. They come from an invisible script written into your brain by fear, by the world's noise, by old wounds you never asked for. It's like carrying around a computer infected with malware. No matter how many times you restart, it keeps pulling you back into the same glitches. And yet, the code can be rewritten. What if I told you that with the right tools, mental weapons forged through Stoic philosophy, neuroscience, and disciplined practice, you could break the script entirely, that you could train your mind to win in any situation, to be unshakable even in the face of pain, chaos, and loss? So, tonight, you're not just going to listen. You're going to learn how to rewire your identity, strengthen your resilience, and become mentally unbreakable. That's what this video is about. It's not just another motivational clip. It's a training ground. We're going to unlock 9 mental weapons forged from Stoic philosophy, sharpened by psychology, reinforced by neuroscience, that will show you how to train your mind to win in every situation. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Because tonight isn't about hype. It's about building something that lasts. By the end of this journey, you'll know how to transform pain into power, how to rewrite your identity, how to control your focus, your dopamine, your self-talk, until you are mentally unbreakable. Now, dim the lights, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The awakening. You are not here by accident. Something inside you brought you here: a whisper, a hunger, maybe even desperation. You've tried self-discipline. You've written down plans, tracked habits, absorbed advice from hundreds of motivational voices. And yet, here you are, still wrestling with hesitation, fatigue, and doubt. Let me tell you something that may shock you. The problem is not your willpower. You are not weak. You are not missing ambition. The real problem lies in the programming of your brain. A program not written by you, but by your past experiences, your fears, society's noise, and years of unconscious habits. Your brain reacts from old wounds. It craves ease. It avoids discomfort. No one ever taught you how to command it, how to master your inner voice, how to control your reactions. And so, you live like a passenger when you were meant to be the driver. But tonight that changes. Because what you're about to receive is not just inspiration. It's a set of 9 mental weapons, each designed to reprogram your mind from the inside out. Tools born from Stoicism, sharpened by psychology, reinforced by neuroscience, and tested in the fire of the human struggle. So let's begin. Let's build a mind that doesn't break. Let's forge a spirit that rises in every storm. Mental weapon. Number 1. Pain conditioning. Pain. Most people treat it like an enemy. They spend their lives avoiding it, hiding from it, numbing it. But the truth, pain is not your enemy. Pain is your training ground. Think of it like the weights in a gym. Without resistance, muscles never grow. Without pressure, steel never hardens. In the same way, your mind cannot evolve in comfort. It grows only in fire, under stress, in the exact moments you want to run away. Avoid pain, and you avoid growth. Embrace pain, and you turn it into power. Your brain doesn't evolve when everything feels good. It rewires itself when you're under pressure, when you're afraid, but move forward anyway. When you choose to do what your body screams against, that's the exact moment you stop being a prisoner of instinct and become the commander of your mind. Most people never succeed, not because they lack talent, but because they lack tolerance for pain. They want the reward without the grind, the glory without the sacrifice. They want transformation without discomfort. And so, they break not under failure, but under their own refusal to suffer. Comfort becomes their drug. Avoidance becomes their prison. But you're here because you want something more. You're here to transform pain into power. The science of pain conditioning. When you consciously engage with pain, you're not punishing yourself, you're retraining your brain's reward system. You override its craving for cheap dopamine hits and replace it with a higher truth that the deepest satisfaction only comes after discipline. Yes, social media or sugar can give you a momentary rush, but it fades, leaving you emptier than before. The satisfaction you feel after facing fear, after doing the hard thing you wanted to avoid, that's a chemical reward that lingers. It builds self-respect. It rewires your very identity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That isn't just poetic. It's neuroscience. What you repeat, your brain obeys. If you train it to cling to comfort, it becomes fragile. But if you train it to seek growth through struggle, it begins to feed on effort itself. That's the foundation of mental toughness. That's how you become unbreakable. From average to elite. The difference between those who stay average and those who rise isn't luck. It's their relationship with pain. Average minds run from it. Elite minds run toward it. David Goggins didn't build his legendary toughness from motivational quotes. He built it by deliberately doing hard things, running until his feet bled, embracing pain until his mind grew stronger than his body. His story proves a timeless truth. Pain faced with intention becomes inoculation. Each time you endure discomfort, whether it's waking up early, taking a cold shower, or pushing through a difficult task, you're building mental antibodies. You're teaching yourself, this hurts, but I am still in control. And each time you win that small battle, your identity shifts. You're no longer someone who avoids hard things. You're someone who conquers them. Let this be your standard. Do something difficult every single day. Not to torture yourself, but to prepare yourself. Because life will test you, and in that moment, comfort won't protect you. Only pain, trained and weaponized, will stand behind you like a loyal soldier. Pain doesn't stop you. Fear of pain does. Once you make suffering your ally, fear dissolves. You don't become bulletproof because life gets easy. You become bulletproof because you've trained in fire. Mental weapon number 2, identity hack. Here's a brutal truth. You don't act based on what you want. You act based on who you believe you are. You've tried motivation. You've made plans. But every time you take a step forward, something drags you back. Why? Because your brain isn't loyal to your goals. It's loyal to your identity. If deep down you believe you're lazy, weak, inconsistent, or unworthy, Your brain will sabotage anything that contradicts that belief. This isn't failure. It's programming. That's why you need the identity hack, the art of rewriting the invisible script that shapes your life. It's not about who you've been told you are. It's about deciding, with clarity and conviction, who you choose to be: disciplined, relentless, unstoppable. When you master identity, you unlock a self that doesn't ask for permission to grow. It commands it, breaking the cages. Understand this: you weren't born doubting yourself. Doubt was downloaded into you through criticism, through comparisons, through trauma, through repetition. Someone told you you weren't enough and you believed them. And worse, you began protecting those limits. I'm not a morning person. I've always been this way. These are not truths. They're identity cages, and your brain adapts to fit them. Psychologists call it the self-schema, the blueprint your brain follows. If the blueprint says I'm a failure, your actions will collapse until they match that script. But if you rewrite the blueprint, everything changes. Muhammad Ali didn't wait for proof. Long before the world believed him, he declared, "I am the greatest." He said it so often that his brain rewired itself to match the declaration. What once felt like a lie became reality. How to hack your identity. So how do you apply the identity hack? You begin by choosing, by commanding. Say it out loud. I finish what I start. I show up no matter how I feel. I am disciplined. I am resilient. I am unstoppable. Speak it every morning, every night, every time you feel small. Even if it feels fake, keep saying it. Because your brain doesn't care if it feels true. It only cares if it's repeated. Then act in alignment. One small act of courage, one commitment honored. That's all it takes to prove to your subconscious, this is who I am now. You don't become what you want. You become what you believe. But belief alone isn't enough. Identity must be reinforced through ritual. And that leads us to the next weapon. Mental weapon, number 9, repetition ritual. Your brain doesn't care how much you want something. It doesn't care about dreams, intentions, or promises. It only cares what you repeat. This is where most people fail, not because they're weak, but because they confuse motivation with transformation. Motivation is noisy. It shouts, then fades. Repetition is quiet, but it rewires your nervous system. Repetition ritual is more than habit. It's conscious reprogramming. Without realizing it, you're already practicing rituals every day, scrolling, doubting, delaying, and your brain, loyal and obedient, is hard-coding those patterns into your identity. That's why you don't become what you do once. You become what you do daily. From routine to mastery. Think of Kobe Bryant. He didn't rise to greatness on talent alone. He rose by training before sunrise, repeating the same drills thousands of times. Not because he needed to learn them, but because he was embedding them so deeply that, under pressure, his mind and body moved without hesitation. That's the power of repetition ritual. It transforms conscious effort into unconscious dominance. So, what are you repeating? What rituals are shaping your destiny? You can write affirmations even if your voice trembles. You can do 10 push-ups when your body begs to scroll. You can read a single page when distraction screams louder. Transformation doesn't begin with confidence. It begins with command. The hardest days matter Most repetition ritual is most powerful on the days you least want it. When everything in you craves comfort and you show up anyway, that's when the code shifts. That's when your brain learns who you really are. Start small, but be ruthless. Read a page. Meditate for 2 minutes. Walk without your phone. Speak your truth. Do it daily, without apology. Because greatness isn't forged in peaks of passion. It's forged in the trenches of repetition. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your rituals. And if your life hasn't changed, the answer isn't more willpower. It's new rituals. But repetition alone won't protect you when the real war comes. The war of thoughts, emotions, and self-sabotage. For that, you need the next weapon. Transition to the next weapon. Repetition builds your system. But what happens when that system is attacked? When fear rises, when emotions spike, when your own mind turns against you, that's when you must step into mental warfare mode, a battlefield where only the strongest inner command survives. Stay sharp. It's about to get intense. Mental weapon R4. Mental warfare mode. The world will test you. Life will betray you. People will fail you. You will doubt yourself. But the greatest enemy you'll ever face is not out there, it's in here, within the battlefield of your own mind. When Navy SEAL Jocko Willink said, "Discipline equals freedom," he wasn't standing on a stage or giving a motivational speech. He was recalling the darkest corners of solitary confinement, moments when he had no control over walls, over bars, over circumstances. Yet he had control over one thing, his mind. His body could be caged, but his spirit remained unbreakable. That is mental warfare mode in action. You see, your brain is not built for greatness. It's built for survival. It doesn't care if you live your dream. It only cares if you're safe. And in the pursuit of safety, it whispers dangerous lies. Wait until tomorrow. It's too hard. Maybe you're not cut out for this. That inner voice is seductive. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And slowly, if you're not vigilant, it becomes the commander of your life. Mental warfare mode is about turning that dynamic upside down. It's not about waiting for motivation or clinging to positive affirmations. It's about declaring war on weakness itself. It's about putting duty above doubt, mission above mood, discipline above emotion. The choice of Viktor Frankl. Consider Viktor Frankl, imprisoned in the horrors of a Nazi concentration camp. He lost his family, his freedom, his future, but he refused to lose command of his mind. Amid unthinkable suffering, he made a radical choice. He assigned meaning to pain. That choice became his power. No cruelty could strip it away. Frankl proved a truth that Stoics had preached centuries before. You cannot always control your circumstances, but you can always control the meaning you give them. This is the heart of mental warfare mode. Training for inner combat. So how do you train it? You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop negotiating with weakness. Instead, you prepare for war. Name your enemy. Is it fear, procrastination, regret, doubt? Write it down. Call it out. Issue your battle orders. Speak to yourself with clarity and force. I am not my emotion. I act on mission. Forge rituals of resistance. Morning routines that prime you for battle. Visualizations that rehearse victory. Affirmations not of comfort, but of conquest. And above all, You remember this repetition defines you. Doubt repeated becomes identity. Complaints repeated become character. Quitting repeated becomes destiny. But so does strength. So does resolve. If you want to be mentally unbreakable, you must train daily, not once, not occasionally, but every single day as a warrior trains for war. This is not for everyone, but if you're still here, it's because something in you knows you were meant for more than excuses. Mental weapon number 5, self-talk. Rewire. Every war has a voice. And in the war inside your head, that voice often whispers sabotage. I can't. I always fail. I'll never change. Here's the truth. Your inner voice shapes your outer life. Psychology and neuroscience prove it. A single phrase I'm learning can increase activity in brain regions linked to focus and recovery. Your thoughts literally rewire your nervous system. And yet, no one teaches us how to speak to ourselves. We're taught to communicate with others, but never how to coach our own minds. And so, we live trapped in prisons built from our own words. Brian's story. Take Brian, a long-distance runner who quit halfway through every race. His legs didn't fail him. His stamina didn't collapse. His voice did. Every mile, it whispered the same lie, I'm not cut out for this. And his body obeyed. Brian wasn't fighting the track. He was fighting his subconscious. One day, he made a decision to rewrite the script. He began repeating, I'm someone who finishes, even when it hurts. At first, nothing changed, but after 30 days, his mindset began to shift. After 60 days, quitting felt unnatural. And after 90 days, he crossed the finish line of his first marathon, not because his body had transformed, but because his inner voice had the soil and the seeds. Your brain is soil. Your words are seeds. What you plant grows. If you sow doubt, you'll harvest hesitation. If you plant courage, you'll harvest resilience. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Freedom doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from controlling the story you tell yourself. And here's the good news, you can rewrite that story. Start by observing your self-talk, write it down, expose it, then replace it with the language of strength. Speak it out loud, record it, play it back. Train your brain until the voice of power feels more natural than the voice of fear. You have two choices: live under a negative voice that was never truly yours, or become the architect of your inner language. The choice you make will shape your destiny. Mental weapon number 6, victory delay mode. In a world obsessed with speed, patience has become a superpower. Think of Lily. For 10 years, she painted in silence. No applause, no recognition, no audience. Every morning she lifted her brush and poured her soul onto the canvas, while others gave up on their dreams after just a few months. On her 3/4/17th painting, a renowned collector discovered her work. Overnight, the world took notice. But what changed Lily's life wasn't the money. It was the strength forged in those years of delay. Victory delay mode is the art of training your mind to persist without immediate reward. It is the willingness to endure when results are invisible. It is a deep commitment to a mission worth waiting for. Why delay creates power. Modern culture has rewired us for instant gratification, likes, notifications, quick fixes. And in that endless chase, most people have lost the ability to wait. They quit too soon not because they failed, but because they surrendered their patience. But neuroscience and psychology tell a different story. The famous marshmallow experiment revealed that children who could delay gratification succeeded more in life academically, financially, emotionally. Why? Because the ability to delay is the foundation of self-mastery. Every time you resist the impulse for an easy reward, you strengthen the muscle of resilience. You teach your brain to value principle over pleasure, discipline over dopamine, training victory delay mode. So how do you train this weapon? Choose a mission worth waiting for. Something so meaningful you'd pursue it even if no one noticed. Track effort, not applause. Count the days you didn't quit, not just the results you gained. Repeat the mantra. My results are delayed, not denied. You don't need to shine today. You need to endure long enough that no one can ignore you tomorrow. When you train victory delay mode, you don't just chase success, you embody unbreakable persistence. There is no force more powerful than a person who can wait without surrender. Mental weapon are 7. Target lock. Here's why most people feel exhausted but ineffective. They have goals, but no focus. They scatter their energy across dozens of half-finished tasks, never locking onto one long enough to finish it. Target lock is the art of focus. It's when you isolate one mission, mute the noise, and pour all your mental energy into a single decisive strike. Like a Stoic sniper, you don't let distractions move your scope. You lock in, steady your aim, and execute. Why focus wins? Your brain isn't designed for multitasking. Every time you switch tasks, it burns precious energy reloading itself. Psychologists call this attention residue the mental aftershock of distraction, and it's deadly to deep work. Without focus, you stay busy but never effective. You drown in tasks but never touch greatness. But with target lock, something extraordinary happens. You enter flow. Time disappears. Doubt vanishes. Work feels like dancing with your own mind. Paul's transformation. Take Paul, a brilliant man trapped in digital chaos, unable to sit still for more than 10 minutes. His goals weren't the problem. His fractured mind was. For 6 weeks, he practiced one rule, one deep, focused task per day. No phone, no multitasking, just ruthless attention. And that was enough. A startup was born. His shattered confidence rebuilt itself. His dopamine-starved brain rediscovered discipline. He didn't change the world. He changed his mind, and that changed everything. Training target lock. You can do the same. Start with 30 minutes a day. No phone, no noise, just one task. Whisper to yourself, nothing exists except this. Your brain will resist. It will itch for distraction. But if you train it daily, it will learn. It will obey. And eventually, you will own your focus. Remember, you don't need more goals. You need fewer distractions. One locked-in strike can change everything. Transition to the next weapon. But what if your focus is stolen? Not by people or tasks, but by your own brain chemistry. What if the very system designed to fuel your pursuit has been hijacked by endless stimulation? That's when you need the next weapon. Dopamine shutdown. A reset that will reclaim your ability to focus, restore your sense of joy, and give you back the strength to love discipline more than distraction. Mental weapon, sabiriuit. Dopamine shutdown. Let's get this straight. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are not undisciplined. You are being stolen from, not by someone else, but by the little glowing rectangles you carry in your pocket, by the endless scroll of 7-second clips, by the constant buzz of pings and notifications that drip-feed your brain with counterfeit rewards. What's being stolen? Your dopamine. Dopamine is not happiness. It is the fuel of pursuit. It's the chemical that pushes you to act, to break through, to persist. It is what drives you to build, to love, to create, to fight for something beyond comfort. But when hijacked by cheap stimulation, dopamine becomes a drug that robs you of purpose. Every swipe, every notification, every sugary distraction trains your brain to crave shallow spikes of pleasure instead of deep fulfillment. The more you scroll, the weaker your willpower becomes. The more you chase easy highs, the duller real life feels. Suddenly, books seem boring. Deep work feels impossible. Silence feels unbearable. You aren't broken, you're overstimulated. And that's why you need dopamine shutdown. Ethan's story from stimulation to stillness. Ethan was a young man lost in endless loops of distraction. His nights bled into mornings, his days into weeks. Hours vanished into TikTok, YouTube shorts, Instagram reels. He was always entertained but never alive. One day, he made a decision few would dare. He shut it all down. For 14 days, no screens, no noise, no sugar rushes of stimulation. Just silence, a notebook, and a few pages from Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus. The first days were brutal. His fingers twitched for the phone. His mind screamed for the chemical hit it had been trained to crave. But by day 5, something miraculous happened. The fog began to lift. His thoughts sharpened. Sounds became richer. Light looked brighter. His emotions returned in their rawness. For the first time in years, Ethan wasn't running. He wasn't escaping. He was present, alive. That is the power of dopamine shutdown, why it works. By cutting noise and reclaiming stillness, you reset your nervous system. You retrain your brain to enjoy focus, to savor effort, to fall back in love with life itself. You stop feeding on scraps of distraction and return to the feast of reality. This isn't punishment, it's liberation. Training. Dopamine shutdown. You don't need to exile yourself for 14 days like Ethan. Start small. Create sacred windows. No phone for 30 minutes after waking. No screens after 6 p.m. Replace consumption with creation. Instead of scrolling, write. Instead of watching, walk. Instead of consuming noise, breathe in silence. Schedule discomfort. Let your mind get bored again. Let it wander. That boredom is the birthplace of creativity. Yes, your brain will resist. It will scream. But push through. Because once you reclaim control of your dopamine, discipline becomes natural. Stillness becomes sweet. Focus becomes effortless. You don't need more stimulation. You need more mastery. And dopamine shutdown is how you take it back. Mental weapon number 9. Mind override. There is a war happening not outside you, but inside your skull. And the enemy doesn't wear a uniform. It doesn't announce itself. It whispers. It convinces. It says stay in bed. Do it tomorrow. Skip it just this once. That voice isn't you. It's the automatic program of your brain, the part designed to seek ease and avoid effort. Unless you train yourself to override it, it will own you. That's why the final and most powerful weapon is mind override. The first and second thought. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You cannot control the first thought. It arrives like lightning shaped by biology, memory, habit. But the second thought, that is yours to command. That is where greatness lives. When the alarm rings at 5:00 and the first thought says, 'Sleep more,' mind override is the second thought that answers, 'We don't skip greatness.' Each override is not just a choice, it's a neural rep, a rewiring of your brain. Each override weakens the voice of comfort and strengthens the voice of command." Brandon's edge. Brandon dreamed of becoming a professional athlete. Every morning, he faced the same whisper. "Stay in bed. No one's watching. It doesn't matter." But Brandon trained himself to override, to act not on feeling, but on command. Slowly, his brain stopped resisting. Why? Because the brain learns what you repeat, not what you wish. That simple override became his edge, his advantage, his secret weapon. You face the same test daily. You plan to study, but your brain whispers, "Later." You intend to read, but your hand reaches for the phone. You want to work out, but the whisper says, "Skip it." Each whisper has power unless you override it. Training the override muscle. Think of mind. Override like any muscle. It grows through resistance. It strengthens with repetition. Recognize the whisper. Don't confuse it with your identity. It's just programming. Command. Don't negotiate. Speak to your brain as a general speaks to his army. This is what we do. Act instantly. The longer you delay, the stronger the whisper becomes. Override is about speed-cutting thought with action. Say it out loud, "I don't negotiate with weakness." Say it again, command it until it becomes the reflex. Because you are not your thoughts, you are the commander of your thoughts. The ultimate discipline without mind override. You become a slave to impulse. You obey doubts. You feed fear. You slip quietly into mediocrity, not because you are average, but because you forgot you had the power to command. But with mind override, you become something else entirely. You become the one who doesn't wait for motivation. You become the one who doesn't yield to hesitation. You become the one who moves, decides, acts while others stall. This is not motivation. This is mental warfare. This is Stoicism reborn not as dusty philosophy to read, but as fire to live by. Train your override or be overrun. Integrating the 9 weapons now. Step back and look at the arsenal you've built. 1. Pain conditioning, forging strength in discomfort. 2. Identity hack, rewriting the blueprint of who you are. 3. Repetition ritual, programming change through daily action. 4. Mental warfare mode, discipline above doubt, mission over mood. 5. Self-talk rewire, transforming inner whispers into inner weapons. 6. Victory delay mode, mastering patience and persistence. 7. Target lock, harnessing the power of pure focus. 8. Dopamine shutdown, reclaiming control of your nervous system. 9. Mind override, commanding the battlefield of thought. Each weapon alone can change you. Together, they can make you unbreakable. Now comes the moment of truth. You've walked through the arsenal. You've seen the strategies, but knowledge alone doesn't transform you. Only action does. So ask yourself, will you be the one who nods, agrees, and then returns to old habits? Or will you be the one who draws these weapons daily, turning philosophy into practice, words into action, discipline into destiny. Because here's the truth, no one is coming to save you. No one can fight this war for you. The mind is yours, and yours alone, to train. But you already hold everything you need. You know how to reprogram old patterns. You know how to override weakness. You know how to master your dopamine, your focus, your identity, your pain. Your brain is no longer the enemy. It is your greatest weapon if you train it. In the final part, we will not only consolidate these weapons, but also step into the philosophical fire that gives them meaning, because tools without purpose are empty, and discipline without vision is slavery. The Stoics knew this: the ultimate victory is not just external achievement, but internal freedom. So in the last part, we'll bind everything together into a way of living, one that makes you not just mentally unbreakable, but unshakably alive. The forge of the mind. Every great transformation begins in the unseen, in the silent chambers of thought. By now, you've walked through 9 weapons that can forge a mind as resilient as steel. But knowledge without integration is like a sword left in its sheath. It looks powerful, but it never saves you in battle. So the question is this: will you train in silence so you can stand unshaken in the storm? Will you draw these mental weapons when life throws fire, betrayal, chaos, and loss? Or will you leave them on the shelf, nodding at their brilliance but never wielding them? The Stoics had a saying, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." What they meant is that the untrained mind creates prisons where none exist. But the trained mind, it creates freedom, even in chains. Let's put all of this together and see how these weapons transform not just moments of willpower, but the very fabric of your life. Weapon integration, the symphony of strength. Think of the 9 weapons as instruments in a symphony. Alone, they sound powerful. Together, they create music that commands reality. Pain conditioning is your foundation. It teaches you to face discomfort, to forge strength where others retreat. Identity hack defines who you are becoming, making sure your habits obey your chosen self, not your wounded past. Repetition ritual engraves that new identity into your nervous system until discipline is your default. Mental warfare mode arms you against sabotage, keeping you mission-focused when emotion begs you to flee. Self-talk. Rewire polishes your inner voice until it coaches instead of curses. Victory delay mode trains your patience, building endurance for long-term battles. Target lock turns scattered energy into devastating precision. Dopamine shutdown resets your nervous system so you can love depth instead of drowning in distraction. Mind override crowns them all, giving you command over the whispers of weakness. When these weapons combine, something extraordinary happens. You stop living as a victim of mood, circumstance, and impulse. You start living as the architect of your destiny. The Stoic fire behind the weapons. But tools without philosophy are dangerous. A soldier with weapons but no cause is just a mercenary. What gives these practices their fire is the deeper philosophy that fuels them. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." These weren't mere words. They were shields against despair, swords against weakness. They understood what modern science now confirms, that perception, repetition, and inner command determine not just your feelings, but your fate. The Stoics lived in turbulent times, wars, plagues, betrayals, slavery. Yet their writings endure because they discovered something timeless. Freedom is not about controlling the world, but about mastering the world within. And now, in an age of endless distraction, overstimulation, and hidden weakness, their wisdom is more urgent than ever. Building a Stoic mind in the modern world. Let's bring this into today. Imagine a life where pain no longer paralyzes you but strengthens you. Your identity no longer sabotages you but propels you. Your rituals don't weaken you but build unshakable resilience. Your self-talk isn't poison but power. Your patience makes you unstoppable. Your focus turns chaos into clarity. Your dopamine isn't hijacked but harnessed. Your override makes hesitation impossible. That's not theory. That's training. That's Stoicism alive in the 21st century. The 3 levels of transformation. Let me take you deeper. Training your mind works on 3 levels. 1. The surface level. Actions. This is where you begin habits, rituals, daily practices, doing push-ups when your mind says scroll, reading when your mind says sleep, speaking strength when your voice trembles. 2. The identity level. Belief over time. Actions reshape beliefs. You begin to see yourself differently. You're no longer someone who quits. You're someone who finishes. You're not fragile. You're forged. 3. The philosophical level. Freedom. At the deepest level, discipline is no longer duty, it's freedom. You're no longer enslaved by mood, impulse, or distraction. You walk into chaos and remain calm. You face storms and remain steady. That is the Stoic promise. That is true victory. The war never ends. Do not think that one day the whispers will vanish, that weakness will stop calling, that you'll wake up free from struggle. No, the war never ends. But here's the secret that's not a curse, it's the gift. Because the war sharpens you. Every day is a chance to pick up the sword again. Every hesitation is another rep for your override muscle. Every pain faced is another brick in the fortress of your mind. Do not long for ease. Long for strength. Do not pray for comfort. Pray for resilience. Do not wait for the war to stop. Train to win it daily. Picture yourself a year from now, living these 9 weapons. Pain no longer scares you. Identity fuels you. Repetition fortifies you. Discipline shields you. Patience anchors you. Focus propels you. Dopamine serves you. Override crowns you. Who would you be? How would you live? What storms could you face with calm? Now zoom out further. Imagine 10 years. Imagine a lifetime. A life where you are unshaken not because life is easy, but because your mind is unbreakable. That's not a fantasy. That's available to you. Starting tonight, starting now. So here is your challenge. Don't let this message fade into background noise. Don't let it become another motivational spark that dies in the dark. Take one weapon tonight and wield it. Wake up tomorrow and train it again. Add another, then another. Day by day, ritual by ritual, override by override. You will reprogram the mind. The path isn't glamorous. It won't always feel good, but the quiet victories will pile up. And one day, You'll look in the mirror and realize you're no longer the same person. You've become someone unshakable, unstoppable, unbreakable. The closing words. No one is coming to save you. No one else can fight this war for you. But you already have what you need. The brain that once betrayed you is now your greatest weapon if you train it. So sharpen it like a warrior sharpens his sword. Condition it like an athlete trains his body. Command it like a general commands his army. Because you are not your doubts. You are not your impulses. You are not your distractions. You are the commander of your mind. And when you wield that truth, you become mentally unbreakable. So now, as this journey closes, I leave you with one last question. The only question that matters: will you merely remember these weapons, or will you live them? Because if you choose to live them, then nothing, not pain, not failure, not loss, not fear can ever truly break you again. And now, take a breath. We've walked through the battlefield of the mind. We've armed ourselves with 9 powerful weapons. We've seen how pain, identity, repetition, focus, patience, and command can transform not just moments of willpower, but an entire life. But I don't want you to leave here feeling only inspired. I want you to leave prepared to face tomorrow differently. Prepared to notice the whisper of weakness and answer it with command. Prepared to choose one weapon and wield it today. Because the truth is simple: no one can fight this war for you. But no one can take this power away from you either. So let this be the night you drew the line. The night you decided you will no longer be ruled by distraction, fear, or old programming. The night you became the commander of your mind. Now, close your eyes if you like. Slow your breathing. Let these words settle deep. You are not fragile. You are not broken. You are being forged. And when the storm comes, and it will, you will stand unshaken. Good night, my friend. Stay strong. Stay disciplined. Stay unbreakable.